Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Neuro-Inclusive Dog Pod, the podcast where we bridge the gap between neurodiversity and the dog world. So today's guest isn't actually from the dog world, but they are from the business world, and they've got a vast range of experience when it comes to working with neurodivergent clients. So I'm going to let my guests introduce themselves and tell us a little bit more about what they do. So hi, Claire, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thanks for having me.
It's all right. Could you tell our listeners a little bit more about the work that you do?
Yeah, so my name's Claire Gratian. I'm the founder of the Virtual Vibe Coaching. I am a business coach, but also a realignment business coach, which I'm sure we'll get into. But it's essentially helping your business work for you. So in terms of capacity, mindset, sales, strategy, all of the above. And I'm neurodivergent myself. So I'm autistic, I have ADHD, I've got 3 children that are neurodivergent, and a lot of my clients are, because it's often neurodivergent people who are thinking outside of the box and thinking, well, actually, this way doesn't work for me. Like, how do I make my business more me friendly? Like, how does it work for my brain? So, yeah, that's what I do in a nutshell.
Amazing. So I know from my own personal experience and talking to clients and talking to other people in the dog world that being neurodivergent can make sales and marketing particularly tricky. So do you have any advice when it comes to that? What are the biggest challenges that you see your clients facing when it comes to having that neurodivergent brain and dealing with sales and marketing?
Mm. You see, it's funny, isn't it? I try and think more on the lines of what are the things that make my brain even better at what I do because it's neurodivergent? And I try and reframe it that way. But definitely there are some challenges that keep cropping up, if you like, in terms of my own business, in terms of my clients' business. And often it's things like energy levels, often neurodivergent people, whether, if you're an ADHD or like myself or autistic, you can go through those periods of lower energy, higher energy, being, having ADHD in terms of this is really interesting. I really want to get on with this, but actually it's really difficult to get started on this task. So yes, it's like inconsistent energy, it's inconsistency in the sense of finding it difficult to get started on new tasks or transitioning between tasks. So that's kind of like how you work in the week, how you work in the day, how you set yourself up. We're told a lot of these things about, you've got to have consistency to be successful, and you've got to work in a certain way. I prefer, and I still prefer now, to work on, I don't know, 5, 10 different things at once, because that's just how my brain likes to work. It doesn't mean I can't be successful or get things done, because I am and I do. It just means that you've got to do things in a slightly different way to work the way that you like to work. So I think the main things that I see are overwhelm.
Mhm.
Other coaches or the business world in general, making people feel like they have to do things a certain way, or like rigid strategies, and this is the way to do things, like live launching, for example. A lot of people, excuse me, come to me and say, I actually hate showing up live all the time, and I hate being on my content. Is there another way that I can get sales in? And yeah, like, absolutely there is. And other things in terms of, fear of getting it wrong. Like, if you're somebody like me who's late diagnosed, and I've spent 39 years like masking, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you get to 39, you're like, who am I? Like, what actually am I like? You know what I mean? And trying to figure that out, is this the way that you want to run your business? Does it
Mhm.
work for you and your life and the way that you think and the way that you work? Or are you following somebody else's method, and actually that maybe burns you out, or it
Yeah.
doesn't fit in with how your thought processes are, and actually you can't keep the interest there, and you're wondering why? A lot of the time it's where you see something happen time and time again in your business, like, why do I keep thinking I'm going to quit my business? And it's like, well, why do you? Let's have a look. Like,
Yeah.
is it the business itself? Or is it the way that you're doing it, or the way that you're selling it, or what is it? Because there'll be something there. It
Yeah.
might be that you've outgrown your idea and you want to pivot, but most likely it's the way that it's set up.
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely resonated with a lot of the things you said there, because it is the kind of like you're trying to run your business, you're living in a neurodivergent household as well. So you're managing mum life, family life, whatever. Maybe I've got elderly parents that, often need a bit more care or support or whatever. And it's like you're juggling all of these things. And then the traditional methods are like, you need to do it this way and that way. And like when they don't
Yeah.
quite kind of align and they don't fit with you, you kind of think, oh, it must be me because that RSD kicks in. And you're like, oh, it must be me that's doing it wrong, and maybe, you know, I'm not cut out to have a business, or all of this other stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like we are taught that we have to, traditional sales kind of things say, oh, do this or do that. And it's almost like when you're neurodivergent, I've definitely experienced it in the past, where you think, oh, if I'm not doing this way, then, why is that other way going to work for me? And all of that doubt and stuff creeps in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So when it comes to neurodivergent people and how they struggle with traditional sales and marketing, do you see any kind of patterns as in why traditional sales don't tend to sit well with them? And what kind of alternative approaches do you help your clients with?
Yeah. So I mean that can look different for different people, definitely. But a lot of there are certain things that keep cropping up. In terms of what my clients are struggling with here, and what I have struggled with in the past. I mean, come on, nobody in business, if somebody sits in business and say like, I have never struggled with certain strategies, they're absolutely lying.
Yeah.
But for me, in my sense, it was the showing up live thing. Last year in my business, I went through a period of burnout, and it's no secret. I talk about this because it's really important. It was a huge life lesson for me. It was around the time that I was diagnosed, so I was starting to figure out a lot of things about how I worked, how my brain was, all these kind of things. But it was a sense of, can I do this anymore? Like, can I actually show up to my business anymore? Like, I've got all this to give, but I can't do it the way that other people say. I was in masterminds, and I've always had a coach because I believe in always progressing your skills and having that accountability and all that kind of thing. And obviously, I'm a coach myself, so. But they were telling me, this live launching is the best way to launch a group program, and getting your new products out and getting your new offers out, and you've got to be live on your content and showing up with this energy. And I'm like, yeah, but as an autistic person, like I show my face how I feel inside, right?
Yes.
And if I'm not feeling amazing, then you'll know that. And it's actually
Yeah.
better for me to not be on live that day. And also my energy fluctuates. If I've had to I don't know, advocate for my kids at school that week and my energy is low, showing up on content every day isn't going to do nobody any favors.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a true representation of how I really feel about my business, because other things are going to take their toll. So it's about recognizing and not being rigid with that. Like sometimes it's sort of a tendency for neurodivergent people, myself included, where you're like, this is the way that I've got to do it every single day because that's the structure. But actually, it doesn't have to be that way. It's about finding out how much scaffolding you need. So for an ADHD person, they might really not like to have too much scaffolding, but they'll probably need some, that they know what their week structure looks like, for example. How am I going to structure my week? But then they might not want to know, I'm working on this day and this on this day, because that might take all the fun out of it, and then they find it difficult to start work.
Yeah.
So it's similar with marketing. I go through with my clients low resistance marketing, I call it, and it's my strategy of, how does that look for you? So this looks different for everybody. Okay, it depends on how your brain works, how you like to work, but in the sense of what does low resistance mean to you, and what does a no, the other thing that we go through with my clients is a no hustle offer strategy. So how are your offers set up? And we can obviously go into that shortly, but in the sense of, again, is your business aligned? Is your business aligned for you? Because the traditional methods of consistency with content, or all these myths that we keep hearing, if you're not consistent with your content, then the algorithm won't show your post to anybody, and it's just all rubbish, because there are other ways that you can get visible. I mean, podcasts, we're on a podcast right now. This is a brilliant way to get visible if you thrive in that environment. If you like having more relaxed conversations or being prepared, other clients take other routes. And it again just depends on their own capacity.
Yeah, definitely. And it is that. And it's learning as well, as a neurodivergent, there are ways kind of okay. It's okay to do what's right with us, because we've fitted into these boxes, haven't we, for most of our lives. And, this, whether it's going back to schooling or whatever it might be. And then we're kind of like you say, especially if you're late diagnosed, you're kind of for me personally, you're kind of still working out who you are, and you know, it takes a little
Yeah.
time. So for me, when I got my diagnosis last June, somebody said I was at a point where I was at burnout, and I was like, you know, with my agility business, my clients were all wrong, and you know, it was draining the life out of me. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't even want agility dogs. I don't know why I've got 3 dogs, you know, and it was just completely all
Yeah.
too much. And it's like, I think sometimes we're just somebody said to me at the time, because I was like, oh, I've just got my diagnosis and I'm just gonna completely change all of my business. And they went, just wait a little bit, just take some time. And I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense to me because I don't need time. I've got my answer. Everything should make sense. And it's like, I get what they mean now, because even now, you know, a year on, you're still learning things about yourself, and you kind of, unmasking, I suppose. But you've got some answers, but I think it does take time, doesn't it, to work out from a business perspective what you want from your business, how you can work, and fitting that around all of your other commitments as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think, it absolutely resonated with what you've just been saying. I mean, I think we were in similar places at similar times, just having
Yeah,
received that diagnosis and then like reevaluating your whole business and like, God, do I even want this? But
yeah,
then as an ADHDer, I know that I've got that tendency to have impulsive thought process, like, do I actually want to burn my business down right now? Or do I just actually need to change my offer strategy?
yeah,
Is it that, live launching actually isn't for me and more passive digital products is like the way for me to go, for example.
yeah,
So yeah, I did the same thing. I actually took the summer off, and it wasn't until I came back that I actually realized, yeah, I do actually love this business. What I don't love is how I'd set it up. And I've
yeah,
just really clung to what was successful for other people. And it might be successful for them. And
yeah,
there's tons of ways that you can be successful. But the
yeah,
way that they were doing it, if I'd have carried on doing that, yes, it was bringing the money in. And I think this is the tricky thing. Because
mm,
even you can have a successful, I'm going to put successful in what you call them air quotes. I'm going to do
yeah,
the air quote thing. So you can have a successful business
yeah,
on paper where you're, because everyone's version of successful is different, where
yeah,
you're bringing in a load of money and you're working with clients and you're doing all the traditional or typical successful markers are being ticked in your business. But then
yeah,
if you're going home at night or you're laying in bed at night thinking, I don't want to do this. Like, this is
yeah,
rubbish. This is boring. This is like, yeah, but it's paying my bills. Then
yeah,
you're already too late. Like, yes, you could, it's not too late to change things, but even before you get to that point, when you're
yeah,
getting those signs of, oh, I've got to do this thing. Oh, I've got to do that thing. Like, you're a business owner because you
yeah,
wanted to create that freedom, that excitement, that way to work around you. You wanted all that. So sometimes we can just sort of accept it and be like, this is just what business is. But you don't have
yeah,
to be like that, and it's having that sort of courage to step away from those traditional methods and be like, okay, so I just need to educate myself on what I need to do then. Because
yeah,
this way is not going to work for me. But something that I do know about myself is that I'm ambitious, I'm driven, I can learn new things. I've just done this whole difficult thing about finding out about how my actual brain works, and that
yeah,
I've been coping with life in a world that works set up for me. So I can definitely change my offer strategy or my
yeah.
sales strategy.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And I think as well, like, coming from a dog world perspective, like we do that quite a lot in terms of business, in terms of the services we offer, because we're like, oh, I don't know, for example, I don't like teaching scent work, so I'm going to go and teach something else. But when it comes to business, I think there's this kind of like unspoken about thing where it has to be this way, but you can pivot, can't you? You
Yeah.
can pivot and do things other ways and things. So you described earlier on about having a low resistance marketing strategy and a no hustle offer strategy. Can you explain a little bit more about those, what they mean, and how you implement them in your business for clients?
Yeah. So when I first started sort of coaching with my clients in the sense of a realignment strategy, I was like, we need to realign. Like, what you're saying to me is that you love your business, but you hate selling, or you don't like the type of clients that you're bringing in because they don't feel like the your type of people, or
Yeah,
whatever it is, whatever element. So I had to sit down and figure out a way of channeling that in from my head to apply to my clients' businesses. And when it really came to the crux of it, it was these two things. So it was the no hustle offers and the low resistance marketing, because although that can look different for every single person, do you know what I mean? Like, you could have
yeah,
autistic ADHD, you could have another autistic ADHD thinking, well, actually, Claire, that the way that you run your business is not for me, and that's fine. It's
yeah,
about knowing your options and knowing how you can do things differently. Because one thing that kept me stuck
mhm,
was not realizing that there was other ways. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you're saying that there's all these magic other options, but actually, what does that look like? So in
Yeah.
terms of low resistance marketing, if you think of how I like to explain it to my clients is, if you were like stood in a river, right? And the river's like going down the hill and it's like fast flowing and you're
Mhm.
trying to walk up it, that's an example of how I felt when I was doing live launching. It was
Yeah.
like stuck in the mud. Oh my God, this is so hard. I know what I need to do. I need to walk
Yeah.
up the river. I need
Yeah.
to get this content out on this content plan.
Yeah.
And I knew I could get there. I knew I could walk to the top,
Yeah.
but it was just every step was painful, hard. Low resistance is where you've turned the other way and you're walking down the river. And you know
Mhm.
what you need to do still. You still need to walk in that direction, but it's easier. It's things are
Yeah.
going with you. So
Yeah.
that could look like the way that you sell in your business. It could look like whether you use content, whether you use being a guest expert in other people's programs to get visibility instead of content, whether you use more behind the scenes automations such as email marketing strategy or sales funnels. Now, I'm very aware that when I'm saying these words, they sound like big fancy words, but essentially what we're saying are there's lots of different strategies that you can use that when you break them down can be very simple, that
Yeah.
suit your brain better than perhaps the one that you're doing now.
Yeah.
So it's just about finding out what that is for you, and then you can use that to market your business.
Yeah.
In terms of no hustle offers, again, for one person, no hustle offers might be the easiest thing for them is showing up live, delivering masterclasses, being, you know, out there, center of attention. Another
Mhm.
person might be like, that is my absolute worst nightmare. And I
Yeah.
would prefer to, you know, produce digital products or prefer to deliver my offer in a way that suits my personality, which is more introverted, you know?
Yeah.
So it could be, something that's not more of a live element but something more passive.
Yeah.
It might be how it's delivered as well. It's not just what the offer is or how the offer is structured, but how you actually deliver the offer. So it's just about having, if you have a low resistance marketing and you think, yeah, I can sell this is amazing, I love the way that I'm doing it, but then your offers feel like a ton of hustle,
Yeah.
there's a mismatch there. You're not going to sell it.
Yeah.
Because as much as the way that you're marketing your business, the way you're getting visible feels okay and good for you, if then the actual offer itself feels like a full strain and hard work walking up the river,
Yeah.
when you're talking about it, it comes across and you won't even realize it, but it does. And you won't sell it as easy. So
Yeah.
it's about having those two things like harmoniously, if you like, as much as you can. I mean, let's be truthfully honest here. You know what I mean? There's going to be times in business is a roller coaster. There's going to be times in business where you're like, literally want to burn my business down, and then the
Yeah.
next day absolutely love this, can't believe I didn't do it sooner. So
Yeah.
but generally speaking, if you feel aligned in those two areas, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to
Yeah.
sell, and it's not going to feel like that resistance all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And I think because the social media, because the internet and everything is so loud, there's so many like offers out there, and we see it on TVs, don't we? See it on social media, we see it everywhere, where there's like these pushy like sales tactics and things of
Yeah.
missing out and all of that. And I know I've definitely, when I've had coaches in the past, there's been ones that have gone, oh, you need to be doing this or you need to be doing that. And I'm like, it's just literally made my blood run cold. I'm like, I can't get into people's DMs that I don't know. It's
Mm.
just not me. And it feels like quite pushy and inauthentic. So when it comes to neurodivergent brains, why do you think that is? Why do you think we struggle with the, with this pushy sales kind of
Mm.
tactics? And how can neurodivergent people, when they've got all of that around them, kind of reframe selling in a way that feels more aligned and, more true to them, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I completely hear you. So for me as a coach, whilst and this is sort of my not disclaimer, but note before I go into this,
Yeah.
cold DMs absolutely can work for you if that's the way that you want to proceed with your business. For me as a coach, it's not something that I coach out because I just don't believe in it being authentic. And I think now going into what you're asking me, a lot of autistic people like myself have like a strong justice streak,
Yeah.
where like this is the right thing to do, strong morals and right and wrong and fake and real. And it's quite clear to me specifically, and I know to a lot of autistic people, that in those things that I've just mentioned, it's either this way or that way. It's
Yeah.
like black and white thinking, isn't it?
Yeah.
And often that's framed as a negative thing, but I always see the positives in this, because I honestly think that this is what makes us good as what we do, and how we do it. So when it comes to things like cold DMs or pushy sales and stuff like that, it's like, do we feel authentic? Probably not,
Yeah.
because genuinely as people, it's like I said to you earlier, like my face says how I'm feeling. And it's like, if I feel that I'm not being truthful, or I'm not being genuine or honest, and getting into somebody's DMs and being like, hey, buy my thing,
Yeah.
it's not aligned to the way that we naturally are,
Yeah.
generally, with
Yeah.
autistic people. So I think that sort of doesn't help. And I think sales really gets a bad name because of this. And do you know, it's such a shame, because I love coaching sales. I love talking
Yeah.
about sales, because when you reframe it as, look, you've got a service to offer, like with your dog business, or with my business, like we all have businesses with something that's going to improve a situation for somebody else,
Yeah.
whether it be their livelihood, make them more money, whether it be their mindset, whether it be their dog, their family life, all these different things.
Yeah.
So there's a need there from somebody else. They want to improve their thing, whether it be they
Yeah.
want more money or whatever, they want to improve something, and you've got the answer. They're
Mhm.
looking for it. So really, sales is, you're serving what they need, but it's the way that you do it has got to feel aligned to you. And it's
Yeah.
not about being underhand or not
Yeah.
authentic, or because if it feels like that, you're doing it wrong. You're just doing
Yeah.
it wrong. It needs to be connection,
Mhm.
nurture, and also, for a lot of years, when I was listening to neurotypical coaches that were teaching me about sales, it
Yeah.
used to be this kind of feeling that I got, like, oh, I'm sort of leading people up the garden path to then sell. Like it's going to be a
Yeah.
surprise at the end. And I
Yeah.
just do not believe in any of that. Like, I just think
Yeah.
you just do not need, it just does not need to be like that. When
Yeah.
I'm helping people with sales conversations, because that's normally the sticky bit. How do
Yeah.
I say my prices? How do I, it shouldn't be a surprise when you get to that point. You
Yeah.
should be, if you're having a conversation with somebody who's genuinely come to you, you've attracted the lead in from
Mhm.
however that might be with your low resistance marketing, whether it be your content or whatever, they've seen you somewhere and they've
Yeah.
come to you and approached you, attraction marketing, and they said, look, I want to find out about this. And then you've had that nurturing conversation. Well, tell me why are you having trouble with your dog right now?
Yeah.
Well, it's knock-on effect with my family, and it's making us feel this way, and then dog walks make me feel like this. It's not just the dog, is it? It's how I
No.
feel. It's the
Yeah.
family. I've got a dog myself, so like I get it. Like when I was training it was a nightmare. But like the knock-on effect to not having those things in place, so to not having it in, what's the detrimental effect? So you talk about that naturally. This is a natural conversation. This is what you do, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then it's, well, they've already approached me to ask me about my service. We've
Yeah.
discussed the next natural thing is, why do you actually want the service? Because I need to know that you're right for me, and you need to know that I'm right for you, right? So we're both doing
Yeah.
what we need to do there. And then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, permission-based selling. Okay, so you've told me that this is the reason, this is
Mhm.
the problem, and this is what you're wanting to achieve. Would it be helpful if, whatever it is, would it be helpful if I shared with you some information on this? They've already approached you asking for you, so they're not going to be saying no at this point. It's a natural step, but it's permission based. They
Yeah.
might have spoke to you and decided, actually, we're not a good fit. No, no, thank you. Okay, no bother.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Definitely.
still it's still not pushy. At the end of the day, it shouldn't be pushy. It should always be permission based. So would it be helpful if I shared this? Because it would help you with it. Yes, it would.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like me to tell you the investment for that? Yes, it would. Okay. So it's yes, 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 yes. There's the information, and then it's up to them.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think that's it. And I think it can seem quite scary, can't it? I think it's just reframing that too. And I've definitely noticed in the past year or so, once I've been more, working with like coaches or speaking to coaches or following coaches that are for neurodivergent brains, it's
Yeah.
me. I've changed how I do things, and it is more nurturing relationships, nurturing conversations, actually making those connections rather than what I was told to do previous to that, and getting people's DMs or do this or do that or the other. And I think it's that what you're saying, that natural progression. They've come to you, you've had a conversation, they've come to you because they obviously want your services, or they want to know a little bit more. And like something we said when we had, that you said to me when we had our pre-podcast chat, is sometimes you not selling to people is kind of like they're expecting it, if you know what I mean. And you probably
Yeah.
this is better than I can, but it's actually, if you don't sell to them, they're like, oh right, okay then.
Yeah, almost like you don't care. I mean, it's like if I went to if I messaged a personal trainer and was like, yeah, I'm thinking about getting fit, I want to improve my diet and improve muscle tone, and they'll be like, oh, brilliant. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah,
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about your offers? Yep, I train people and we have these programs.
yeah,
Okay. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it almost feel like, do you not want to talk to me? Can you not be bothered? The
yeah,
thing is, like with neurodivergent people, and again from my own experience, and I love this about neurodivergent people, we often talk plainly, right?
yeah,
So we often talk fairly, and then we spend a lifetime of, oh, I'm too blunt, or and people can't deal with my honesty. Like that's them not dealing with
yeah,
your honesty. Like not that you're too
yeah,
blunt, right? So it's about
yeah,
reframing that in your head. People will really appreciate my openness and honesty and
yeah,
authenticity. So
yeah,
when you're selling, you're not that pushy salesperson, and it's just
yeah,
about showing up as your normal self and
definitely.
serving for what they want. If they've come to you because of your visibility, like however you're being visible, they've come to
Yeah,
you. That's because they want to have that conversation. So yes, nurture them in the conversation, but then absolutely offer your service, because otherwise you're doing a disservice.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And then also they'll probably go to someone else because they'll, like you say, they'll think you're not bothered. So they're like, oh, well, she kind of wasn't bothered or he wasn't bothered. And so
Yeah.
I need my problem solving. So I need someone to solve it. So
But it's the same with follow up, isn't it? A lot of people say to me, "Oh, I hate follow up. I hate, following up with people." So
yeah,
if you've had a sales, like I'm calling it a sales conversation because it ended in where you've given them the information and maybe your prices or a link or something like that, right? So you've had the sales conversation, and
yeah,
then something's happened where the decision hasn't been made there and then. Maybe they've said, "I want to have a think about it," or whatever reason, I'll come back to you, whatever.
yeah,
And you then have to follow up. Well, there are things that you can do to make yourself fit. If you're not confident with sales, make it easy for yourself. At
hmm,
that particular time, say, Brill, shall we catch up in 2 days' time?
yeah,
You're already setting these up. They're not in 2 days' time. You then don't have to procrastinate on sending the message because they're expecting it. And if you don't do it, they'll be like, well, Claire didn't care. She said she was going
yeah,
to follow up in 2 days and she never bothered.
yeah, yeah, definitely. It's so
Yes,
interesting. It's like all the mind, like it is like we said, we get all of these misconceptions and these things in our head, and it's like almost sorting out our mindset with it, isn't it? And our how reframing everything. And like if when you think about our everyday lives and stuff, we're being sold to all the time, aren't we? Where we're watching TV or going on the internet and things, and it's interesting that even though we just accept it, don't we, from TV commercials or whatever it might be, but then when it comes to us selling, we're like, oh gosh, I'm a little bit worried about that. So when it comes to neurodivergent people, what do you think some of the common misconceptions are when it comes to sales and marketing and that actually hold people back?
Yeah, I mean, we've mentioned a few, haven't we, in terms
Yeah.
of, so for example, marketing, being consistent with content, or
Mhm.
you've got to be everywhere all the time. You've got to be on all these different platforms all the time, or, um, the sort of persona that you need to be to show
Yeah.
up, whether it be like an energy level. I usually used to get caught up in people sort of saying, you've got to show up online with all this energy. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not like that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm a bit like up and down. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
if I'm doing certain things, you're going to get high energy because I'm passionate about it. But if I'm
Yeah.
talking about something else, then you're probably not going to get that from me. But it's
Yeah.
totally authentic what you are going to get. So
Yeah.
it's the misconception for me is you've got to be a certain type of way and consistent with that.
Yeah.
Consistency, I know lots of neurodivergent people that struggle with that, in the sense of consistency with showing up, consistency with energy levels, consistency with how you talk to people, or just consistency. Like, I hate the
Yeah.
word, but
Yeah.
that said, there's other ways that you can set things up so you do have a level of presence, in terms of automations and stuff like that. So it's not to
Yeah.
say that you shouldn't be consistent. It's fine to just ghost your business for months. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be how people make it out to be. You don't have to be live all the time and be everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, being everywhere all the time, or you know, that there's only one way to do things. You know, like content is always a big, oh, I need to learn how to have a content. Like, I can teach you content strategy, but do you like being on your content? You
Yeah.
know, or is there a different way that would suit you better?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just, you know, how your offers are, and how you, a lot of people come to me with sort of pricing misconceptions as well. Often clients come to me and they're undercharging massively, and they're
Hmm.
like, well, you know, I have like, it turns out to be a mindset issue where they feel that maybe they're not worth more money, or that their product or offer isn't worth more money, or, you know, and this again, I mean, there's processes that I go through with my clients to sort of show them, because it's not just about you turning up and be like, right, let's put all your prices up. You've got to feel that that's right. Otherwise, it's not going to sell anyway. It doesn't matter about the price. It could be
Yeah.
£1, £1,000,000, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But, you know, in terms of like market research, let's show you what other people are charging for the services that you're offering. And that's not even including your framework, the way that you do things, the way
Yeah.
that is specific for you. So, yeah, I think in terms of being neurodivergent, you know, the consistency is a huge one. I think there's also the misconceptions that we have just naturally about, you know, the way that we might have masked, and the way that, you know, we should be to be professional, or
Yeah.
how we should speak online, or, you know, all that kind of stuff that we've sort of put up with, if you like. And that now it's much more valuable, I'd say, to be the authentic version of you. So if you're the one showing up, if you're like creating content and that's your thing, and you're showing up online, and you're the one that's, I don't know, really, really quiet. You know, I was going to
Yeah.
say blunt and out there, but
Yeah.
let's go for the one that's a little less
Yeah.
well known. You know, you're actually an introvert. You're really quiet, but then you're really nurturing, and you talk in that way. People
Mhm.
are going to connect with you for who you are. People who want that are going to. So it's, yeah, I suppose it's having that, letting go of that misconception. I need to be a certain way to do this
Yeah.
thing, whatever that thing is, and leaning into what your actual strength is.
Yeah, definitely. And it's knowing as well that you have got options as well, isn't it? Knowing that you
Yeah.
can just be your authentic self, and whatever, you know, I always say to it, look at it from a dog training perspective. There is loads of different ways to train a dog to sit or something, or to do agility. You know, there's loads of different ways, and it's similar with business, isn't it? There's loads of different ways. You don't have to just do X because someone tells you to do that. If you're not, because what happens is we don't do it then, do we? We just like, well, I'm not doing that because it doesn't sit, and then your business stays where it is, or, you know, worst case, you know, falls apart because, and it's not your business, it's not the actual service you're selling, it's because you don't want to put yourself out there and be visible for whatever reason.
Yeah. But then what do? We say, oh, well, I'm not good at this. I'm not
Yes.
good at it. Well,
Yeah.
the business is not doing as well because I'm not very good. And
Yeah.
actually, that's it. It's heartbreaking when I hear this, because I hear it a lot, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
it's not that. It's not that. What it
Yeah.
is the way that you're doing it doesn't lend itself to the way that you have got these strengths in your brain, and we're not pulling them out. Like, it doesn't lend itself well to that. So we need to find those strengths, and this is like my ultimate favorite thing to do. It's we like the realignment process, you know, like finding those strengths, pulling them out, and being like, but you're amazing at these things, so
Yeah.
how about we use these strategies? And it's just about looking at other methods, looking at other ways.
Yeah, amazing. So we talked a little bit earlier about the low pressure approach. Can you share an example of how like a low pressure, low energy marketing strategy that's worked well for your clients? Like, if anybody's listening that's thinking, well, I don't really know what that means, I need an example of that.
Yeah. So, well, I'll start with my own example, and then I can give a few clients examples as well. So I've told you I didn't like the back-to-back live launching. So I had a
Yeah.
group program last year where I was coaching in that group program every single week. I'd be showing up live,
Mhm.
and when the program ended, so 3 months down the line, it'd end, and then I'd go back into this live launch cycle, creating all this content, being live, and then I'd be live in the program, and it was a cycle.
Yeah.
So, you know, knowing my background and who I am and how my brain works, it literally drained me. So I was
Mm.
thinking, you know, after the summer, gone through burnout, still want to share this knowledge with people. How am I going to deliver what I want to deliver, work with the people who I really want to work with, get into the nooks and crannies of their business and really help them? So I didn't want
Yeah.
it to be totally passive. I wanted to be in there, but
Yeah.
not have all those live elements all the time.
Yeah.
So in terms of my marketing strategy, the first thing that I did was look at a low resistance marketing strategy. Content is burning me out right now. It doesn't mean forever. It means
Yeah.
right there and then I needed to look at a different strategy because of where I was in my business.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, what do I like doing? I like more small group settings. I don't like being live on content right now.
Yeah.
So I started to put a strategy together that was more as a guest expert. So what I would do is go into other people's programs. I would do a small slot. Off the back of that, clients would sign up into my programs naturally. They'd just contact me after, and I'd be like, amazing, got visible in front of a group of people that were ready for hearing what I had to say. And it was a natural process. Like it felt very low resistance to me because it was easy for me to just come and show up and deliver what they needed.
Yeah.
For somebody else, though, that might be a frigging nightmare. They might think, well, I don't want to show up live. I want to do something more passively. So one of my clients, for example, is more like that. So we set up an automated sales funnel where she's selling her knowledge in digital form, and it's a
Mhm.
lot less front facing. So I'm
Yeah.
not I don't sort of teach faceless content or anything like that, but how we set it up for her was instead of the focus just being on content all the time, we set
Mhm.
up like an email strategy so she could nurture her audience, build her email list,
Mhm.
and naturally upsell through that.
Mhm.
Solving a problem using storytelling, like it didn't fit. I'm never going to be the one that teaches pushy sales, so
Yeah.
it's never going to be that. But in the sense of it feeling low resistance to her, that was her solution. And so
Yeah.
she was able then to, sell into more passive offers. And now she feels like she wants to start introducing live elements, which
Yeah.
is amazing. Like just because she feels like she's got the headspace, because that's the thing, isn't it? When you're working with a business that
Mhm.
doesn't feel aligned to you, you don't have that headspace for the extra
No.
exciting bit of like scaling and all the rest of it, because
Yeah.
you're trying to hold it together in the unaligned business model that you've got that's not
Yeah.
working for you. Like it's working on paper, but it's not working for you. Whereas
Yeah.
when you start to move more into realignment, and you know what, for some people, this is tiny tweaks,
Yeah.
right? It's like tiny little things like, oh, if I just change this bit, and for other people, it's big things like I need to just restructure.
Yeah.
But when you start to do those things, you start to like free up some space in your head to be like, okay, this is working and I'm enjoying it. And I never thought I'd get to this point. So now I'm thinking about this thing and I'm actually excited
Yeah.
about that thing. And how can we fit that into this new strategy that I'm doing or the new tweak that I'm doing? And it
Yeah.
gives space for that.
Yeah, definitely. So it is that, isn't it? It's kind of like having that space and finding tweaking your business so it actually works for you in the first place, and it is, you're being your authentic self, you're not getting burnt out, and then actually finding ways to move that forward. Like you say, because we're so, especially in the dog world, we can be so working in our business and training
Yeah.
clients and doing stuff that we're not working on it because we're just like you say, trying to hold it all together and things. And I think another thing that a lot of people in the dog world struggle with in business world in general is visibility. And it can be quite scary, can't it? Just putting yourself out there. But like, as we've spoke about already, there's numerous different ways that people can do that. So if somebody's struggling with visibility at the moment, do you have any ways that they could start building that in like a gentle way, start gaining confidence with being more visible?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, this would depend on what sort of approach they wanted to take. So,
Mhm.
we've mentioned a few today, depend on which avenue they wanted to go down. But often when people are nervous about sharing what they want to do, it's
Mhm.
through a lack of clarity. And when I say that, I mean, you know what you want to offer and you know um, the type of person that you want to work with. But
Mhm.
like if you get a bit deeper with that, it becomes another level clearer and you have another level of confidence sharing it. So,
Mhm.
in terms of when we say who do we want to work with, and then, I've heard people talk like coaches and other people talk about like avatars. Right, tell me your avatar. Who do you want to work with? Well, it's
Mhm.
middle-aged woman who has a family, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
maybe but it's like, okay, so what's going on for that middle-aged woman right now? Is
Yeah.
she a neurodivergent woman? Is she in the middle of burnout? How's she feeling? What's the problem causing in her life at the moment? So in the dog world, like what is the issue with the dog
Yeah.
having on her family life right now? How is that
Yeah.
actually affecting things? Is it causing a stress? What does that look like? When you're
Yeah.
really, really clear, and it's similar with your offers as well. What impact do I actually want to give with this offer? What
Yeah.
is that going to, how is that going to help those things that I just figured out about this ideal client? How's it going to help those things?
Hmm.
How's it going to change that relationship within a family if a dog is better trained? Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's always deeper than the initial issue, isn't it? It's not just train the dog. It's like all the things that have alluded to them moving towards getting a dog trainer. And there's going to
Yeah.
be things, that affect, I don't know, money, relationships, whatever, I don't know, enjoyment. So it's about then um, using those things. Now you've brought them to the surface in your mind, if you like, using those things to then strengthen how you speak. Well,
Mm.
maybe you can relate to it personally. Maybe you can story tell off the back of that. There was a time when, I had my dog and they did this, and this is how I felt, and this was the consequence.
Yeah.
Then I implemented this change, your framework, and
Mhm.
this is what the result was. It's a natural thing. We're not talking about selling. That is a selling. It's attraction marketing. That's what,
Yeah.
when I say sales, that's the kind of thing I mean. You're sharing in
Yeah.
a natural way that is a, maybe it's a client, maybe it's you, maybe, and it's not always about tangible things, although they're important to share. It's sometimes about mindset wins or hurdles or how you felt, and that builds connection. And at first, if you're feeling nervous about being visible, you're not going to want to share the vulnerable things. So don't dive into that. Dive
Yeah.
into something that's more achievable right now, whatever that might look like for you, whether it be talking about a story that just happened last week and inside out and it's
Yeah.
relevant. Because if you're already really clear and you've got that clarity, so that's step one, get the clarity on the offer and the client, the ideal client,
Hmm.
then when you tell your story, you'll be relating to them and
Yeah.
you won't have to think about it. It's not forced or inauthentic. You're already really clear on what their problem is and you can relate to it, which is why you're telling them this story right now. And it's going to help
Yeah.
them. There's going to be an impact there, a positive impact.
Yeah, definitely. And I noticed one of the main things for me is I completely changed how I showed up online, and how I basically told people how I can help them, really. Because when
Mm.
I realized that, when I got my diagnosis and I realized all these things were falling into place, because I think we're scared to show our vulnerability, aren't we, sometimes online? And I thought, actually, for me, I kind of got an answer, and I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to show up as I am. I'm just going to, this is me. This is what problems I have with my dog or with my mindset or whatever. This is how I've solved it. This is how I've got, the rosettes behind me and stuff. And I think it's going quite back to being authentic and being like just accepting yourself for who you are. And I think when we get really
Yeah.
deep into things, you're like, this is who I am, this is what business I want. I'm quite happy to to show, when we've all got businesses that we can help people, and usually in the dog world it's because we've had a dog that started it off. We've helped thousands of clients or whatever. And I think it is showing that vulnerability, and then you get people, like I always describe it as like a magnet. You're going to attract to the ones that are meant for you, but you are going to repel other people as well. And I think sometimes that can scare people, can't it? Like when I first started
Mm.
my business years ago, 10 so years ago in the dog world, when people when you have clients that come to a couple of classes and drop off, it might be their reason, but as a neurodivergent person, you're like, oh my god, it must be me. But then when we look at the mindset around it, you're like, actually, they're just not my people, and that's okay. It's not nothing to do with me. It's nothing personal. It might be something to do, we just don't align. And actually, I don't want those people in my business, because they're not the ones that are going to do the work. There's no point having people come to your dog training classes or signing up to your programs if they're not going to do the work, if they're not aligned, if they're not on the same wavelength of kind of your values or whatever, because then you're not going to give them the best service. They're not going to get what they need, and actually it's going to do your business more harm than good, isn't it?
Absolutely. And then there's the knock-on effect of mindset after that. So you start working with a client that's not necessarily aligned to you or your morals or what you offer.
Yeah.
They may or may not have a good or bad experience, but then you know that they're not aligned. So then after working with that client, it actually knocks your confidence a little bit. You think, oh, I don't know if I want to talk about this again. What if I attract another client like that again? So
Yeah.
it really sort of goes back to that initial stage of clarity, because
Mhm.
when you feel like you have that, you'll have the confidence because you know what you want to do and what you want to work with and how you want to share that. You'll relate to it in some way. The reason why we do what we do is because we relate to it in some way, right? So when you know that and you're really clear, it's easy to talk about it. This is the reasons, this is how I relate to it. And then you're also proving to yourself, because we all have that imposter syndrome every now and then, don't we? Where, can I do this? Am I qualified enough? Blah, 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 blah. before
Yeah.
that spirals, before you start spending 3 hours overthinking on that. When
Yeah.
you're at the clarity stage, talking from
Yeah.
experience, when you're at the clarity stage, you like, let's shut the imposter syndrome up right now. So
Yeah.
why can I help them with that? What have I done in my life that's helped me overcome that hurdle that I can now show the other person?
Yeah.
Whatever business you're in, like I say, with your business, my business, it applies to all,
Yeah.
because then you're basically writing out a load of content there. All that is your stories. And when I
Yeah.
say stories, I mean like authentic times where you can share that's going to impact somebody else and showcase what you do in a non-salesy way. We say non-salesy way. It is sales content. And
Yeah.
there are ways that that I help my clients structure it and make it easier for themselves and effective and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
the nooks of it, like the foundations of it, is being authentic, having clarity, and having that story ability to share the story.
Yeah.
Because then somebody will listen to you and think, right, is she my person? Well, if they're listening to me, they'll probably think, right, she's quite direct, she's got a really strong northern accent, she's autistic, ADHD, she talks quite fast. Am I okay with that? Some people don't like, maybe won't like how fast I talk. You know what I mean? Or they might
Yeah.
not like the northern accent or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not your person then,
Yeah.
because there's no point me trying to slow it down, because then I'll be thinking about slowing down our talk and not about the
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're 100% right. And I think when we think, oh, this might exclude people, what that actually means is, when you start excluding people, you're really, really being specific with the people who you want to help, which means that you're going to make more sales.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
people who watch your content, and I keep saying content, but I just want to make clear, like, wherever that is, whether it's your emails, your Instagram, wherever your content is, a flyer, whatever,
Yeah.
um, when they see that content and that copy and the way that you come across or the way that you're on video or whatever, they will deeper like resonate with you because you're being more specific.
Yeah.
You be more specific to that person. So it
Yeah.
won't just be a sit on the fence, maybe that's the person for me. It'll be like, my God, is she in my brain?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she's
Yeah.
talking to me directly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you will exclude some people, but yeah, you'll get stronger yeses.
Yeah, definitely. And just knowing that it is it, and I think having that mindset that, I will repel some people. I will, not everybody wants to work with me, and that's absolutely fine. And I think that's one of the main things that my shift in mindset when it comes to my business. And I realized actually, that's completely fine. And I know when I switched from teaching like beginners to going into more advanced agility behavior, one of the things I had to really shift my mindset and go, oh, what about all my previous clients and this, that, and the other? And I'm like, no, because they are better suited to the people I've referred them to. They're going to have a fantastic time, a fantastic service, but and I'm here when they get to a problem. I can fix their problem. A year or so down the line when they get that further on, and that's
Yeah.
fine. And just accepting that, and just I used to really worry about, oh my goodness, what are they gonna think, because I've kind of turned them away, kind of thing. And actually it's kind of reframing that and thinking, well, actually they're going to have a better time. I'm not going to be as stressed, and the people that I can help, like I say, since then, and like you said, once you get clear with who you are and who you want to serve, basically, for want of a better word, help, you attract those people. And my business has just grown with all of my ideal clients just because I've been more authentic and more open, and sharing all the good times and the bad times, and just being that relatable person for people. So it is interesting, all the mindset is, it's funny, isn't it? It's just about as much about mindset as it is actual selling. Like I say, that for me the sales now has become a lot more easier because it is just more like conversation. It's like the next logical step to the to carrying on the conversation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it is. It's in hand with your mindset 100%. But sometimes it's about realizing, I am stuck on a loop here with this thing that I think about money or sales or
Yeah.
whatever, scaling or whatever it is that's like stopping you taking that step forward. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's not easy to recognize that you're stopping yourself because of the way that you think. Like definitely at points in my business where I'm like, the only way that I'm going to move forward is if I do it the way that somebody else has said, because they've done it that way and been successful. If I do it
Yeah.
another way, it might be different and it might not work. Like those kinds of things, it's about stopping that loop, isn't it? And recognizing. But also what you're saying there about stopping working with certain groups of people or target market and moving into others. We are, our time is precious, isn't it? Like we only have so much every single day, every single week. We only have so much.
Yeah.
And if you're working with the type of client that is not really exciting for you anymore, then
Mhm.
you need to pivot. You need to move into where you're really going to thrive, because that's where your get up and go is going to be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like the saying goes, it'll have got up and gone. You can
Yeah.
either then leave behind what you don't want to serve, or an alternative could be create another offer that's a bit more passive for the people that you're phasing out working with. Like whatever
Yeah.
the solution you take, it doesn't really matter. It's just that it's back to that alignment again. Like in my realignment intensives that I do with my clients, and we look at like leaks, I call them, in our businesses. So it's like, where is your business right now? How do these systems work? What processes have you got? But it's not just that. How do you feel about it? What's your energy like? What All these different types of things. It's that again, isn't it? Pulling in the mindset, pulling in the practical elements, the strategy and all that, seeing
Yeah.
where the leaks are. Well,
Yeah.
actually, I love this, but this bit drains me. And this is where loads of money is coming in, or some money's coming in, but not so much over here. So it's like you can
Yeah.
spot the leaks and pull them out and be like, okay, so now we can see where these leaks are in your energy, your money, your marketing, offers, all that. Now let's realign it. So what does that look like for your low resistance marketing strategy, for your no hustle offer? Like what does that look like for you? And then you can move forward. But sometimes, like I said, it's about knowing where to go from there. Okay, so
Yeah.
is there another way? Well, there is. There's hundreds of ways that you can sell in your business.
Definitely. It's been fantastic chatting with you. And I think it's something that I could chat with you about all day, because there's so many. I love for me, when it comes to dog training, when it comes to coaching, whatever it is, I always explain it like a jigsaw. There is so many little jigsaw pieces that go into it, and those jigsaw pieces are individual for the person. And I think that's it. I think it's knowing that there's so many different areas that people can do from a dog training perspective, from a business perspective, and having the confidence just to find the right pieces for them and then actually move forward with that as well. So just so our listeners can get a little bit more information about you and kind of what you like away from your business, so to speak, I'm going to ask you 5 quick fire questions just to get to know you a little bit more. Are you ready?
Yeah, put me on the spot. Go on.
They're really difficult, these ones. Your first one is tea or coffee?
Tea.
Tea, excellent. So I'm on the tea camp as well.
I'm a northerner. Gotta be
Yeah,
tea.
that's probably what it is. Yeah. What's one tool or app that you can't live without in your business?
Uh, Chat GPT, but not in the way that you think. I think a lot of people use it for content, and you can tell. For me, it organizes my life.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I literally voice note Chat GPT and be like, listen, this is my to-do list today. You know that
Yeah.
I've got ADHD because I've told it, I've pre-warned
Yeah.
it, what I'm like, who I am, all the things.
Yeah.
Organize my to-do list in 3 easy steps, or break this down for me. I'm procrastinating on this specific task, break it down, and it's game changer.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely use ChatGPT as well. It's one of the things though I struggle with. I don't know if it's an ADHD thing or what. I'll speak to him. I call him a him, and then I'll tell him all my ideas. But my brain is like, oh, I've dealt with that now. So he's got loads of my business ideas that have got no further because my brain's gone, oh, we've dealt with that. That we've had that dopamine hit, and they stay in there. And I'm like, well, I've just got this bank of businessy stuff that I need to do that I actually need to
Yeah.
put there and get done. But what's a hobby or interest that you have outside of work that people might not expect?
Mm. 2 things I would say: reformer Pilates, absolutely love it. And people think Pilates is like, oh, this calm, serene thing, but actually it's hardcore and it makes me sweat a lot. And yeah, I was the basketball captain all through uni, and yeah, quite like basketball as well. Yeah.
Amazing. I've got another business friend and she does basketball as well. So you're the only
Yes.
2 people I know that do that. It's good. So
Hmm.
are you more of a morning person or night owl?
Definitely night owl.
Ah, you see,
So
I'm the
yeah,
opposite.
no, I can't do with it. In fact, I need time and space to just, it's difficult with really loud, very loud children.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need that space in the morning. Like, don't come at me straight away.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm the
let's
same.
just not let's just not talk for a bit. Do you know what I mean? I've got that kind of vibe in the morning.
Amazing. And the last one, what's your favorite way to recharge after a busy day?
Oh, if I'm tired, it's just to sort of zone out, not have those conversations, and just sit, whether it be like a box set type thing. If it's sort of in the middle of the day and I've got a lot of energy to get rid of, it's like really loud music, but on my own, and it's got to be good
Yeah.
music, because music really affects my mood. I don't know if anybody else
Yeah.
feels like this,
It does
but
me.
like it can literally like make me cry, make me depressed, or make me like the most excited person on the world. So
Yeah.
and I also don't like listening to music at like mid volume. It's either really low, can't hear it, or very high.
Yeah.
Um, which is weird for somebody who can be noise sensitive. But anyway, yeah, so those are my two things depending on how I'm feeling.
Amazing. I completely resonate with that completely. My husband's always like looking at me going, why have you got your music so loud? And I'm like, it's not
Yeah.
loud enough, you know. Amazing. And the most important question really is, if people are listening and they want to work with you further, how can they get in touch with you?
So I mainly hang out on Instagram. So my Instagram handle is at the Virtual Vibe UK. And on there will be, so on my link in bio there, obviously we've talked a lot about selling today, and we've talked about sales type, like how you want to sell, how you want to have that strategy, what strategy is best for you. So there's a free quiz on there where you can answer a couple of fun questions, and it will give you more of a targeted, have you thought about this strategy that's probably suited to your personality, to how you are, and maybe not so much this strategy. So it'll give you that selling archetype and the style that might suit you.
Yeah, amazing. And we can put any links as well underneath the podcast as well. So thank you very much for coming on the podcast. And if you are listening to the podcast for the first time, make sure you hit subscribe or follow so you don't miss a future episode. So it's goodbye from me and goodbye from Claire.
Thank you so much. See ya.